Coming up today on the show, we talk some Disney news and we play a little fun game where we ask some rare questions about Walt Disney World. That's coming up today on Traveling with the Mouse. Welcome, everybody, to episode 427 of Traveling with the Mouse. My name is Adam, and I am joined today by John.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Yeah, everywhere we go.
All across Disney World.
Yeah, there's lots to see and do. This is a good time of year if you're going. But shall we talk about the news first?
Sure, let's talk about one of your favorite things.
I knew you would go there.
And its condition.
Well, let's get this story out of the way, out of the gate, because I know if Jason was here, you guys would just be gloating about. But the monorail had a flat tire.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know. It didn't just blow up the internet or anything. Isn't this weird, though, that a flat tire on the monorail is like breaking corporate news for the Disney Corporation? They have to release a statement.
You know, all the blogs and the what have you, they have like a 15 story a day
Quota. Yeah.
to fill.
Right. They have to put at least 15 pieces of content out there.
Yeah.
Whether they're good or not, just to get their as many views as they need.
I remember there was a parody channel on YouTube. It's been dormant for a few years now, but way back when they were doing a parody on a Pitbull
song
video,
like music video.
Yeah, they did video parodies mostly, but I mean, I guess they're song parodies too, obviously. But what was my point I was getting to about it was in one of the songs they said something about his contract he makes exactly one song per day or something like that. I can't remember what it was because he was all the time like he was rolling out the content back then. This is like early 2010s.
Yeah, there was a time where he was on every track. It was like and Pitbull. Yeah, he made a lot of money back then, that's for sure.
That's the model that the Disney news sites are following.
Well, I think that's everybody's cycle is like you throw so much content out there that eventually people start finding it and then they just consume all of it. So it's never-ending cycle of content.
You know, speaking of things like that, I don't know, that just brought another thing to my mind, but you know, like the mainstream news media, how like there was a time period, I guess it was around the YouTube era, in which they would be showing these like personal videos, right, of things. And what was funny to me is like they'll be showing this stuff like it was shocking stuff, but I'm like, why on earth was somebody filming this in the first place? Most of the time when I see this stuff, they're doing it. Like, what were they filming exactly when they caught this?
Oh, right.
Most of the time, you know what I mean? Most of the time it was like that. I was like, what exactly were they filming when this came across? What were they doing this for?
Well, nowadays you have to look at a video and go, is this staged? Like there's so much content on social media that's like completely fake. Yeah.
That's like I was questioning then. I was like, okay, what were they filming when this happened? It's almost like they were purposely filming this.
Right.
But anyway.
There's so much content too where it's like you're walking up on something. It's like if somebody saw that I had a camera in their face, like they wouldn't be doing this, right? It's like
right, yeah, it's along those lines.
It's not real. Nothing's real anymore.
It's almost like the general public like forgets to think about that. They're like shocked at the content, but they're not thinking along the lines of, well, why was there a camera on this?
Right.
Or you know what I mean? Or even someone's phone.
Right. Or like vloggers when they film themselves walking or running past the camera, it's like you realize they set the camera up, walked away, walked by the camera, and then walked back and grabbed the camera.
Yeah, those are
just edited all that out, but it made it look like they're just like running by the camera. It's like on their morning jog or something. It's like, no, they didn't just leave the camera there all day and just happen to catch themselves running, you know. Right. They set that up. Like
yeah. just like in Adam the Woo's intro, whenever he would be doing it, and then all of a sudden Tim would come in the background.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, that was totally just happenstance. It was
Right, exactly. Yeah.
not at all planned prior to him turning that
Yeah,
on.
I know. It's just funny that we just accept it as like, oh, this is,
This
this is how people live their lives every day.
there was a time period that anytime those two got together, it would be quite entertaining.
Yeah, they still do though, don't they? Occasionally,
Yeah.
they still get together occasionally.
Well, Tim a little less because
He's
obviously he's
got
a
like
family
5 kids
man.
now.
No, he's just got two. Where were we going with this?
I don't know. What were we talking about? What were we
News
talking about?
stories. We got lost on the fact of the volume.
Right, but
news.
okay, the monorail though. Yes, go ahead. And I'm gonna put that AI image I made in there of just a tire smoking laying on the ground in front of the monorail.
Yeah, that is AI kind of struggles to get some things right when you ask it
Yeah,
to make something.
right.
That's all I'll say about that.
I think the prompt I gave it was something like a flat tire from the monorail with like a small amount of smoke coming out of it to show like so you could see, because a monorail you can't actually see the tires.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I kind of want to see it. So its solution to that was let's have it laying on the ground in front of like on the track. Anyway,
Not just smoking, but a blaze.
yeah, right.
Laying on the
With
ground
like a crater in the ground where it hit the ground. But anyway,
Yeah, I would think somebody might have been injured if that was what took place.
yes. But as you pointed out, there have been wheels that fell off the monorail before.
Yeah, there have been
doors
parts.
or whatever. Yeah, all
There
kinds
have been
of
a
things.
part that fell off. But I think what we were alluding to earlier was the fact that the monorail's been in service now for 50 years. Not this particular line, but the monorail itself.
Yeah.
This line's been in for over 30.
Yeah. I mean, the Epcot track has been there for 40 years, right?
The Epcot track. Oh, track. Oh, okay.
The track itself is 40 years old.
I was going to say, it sounded like you
line.
said crack. I was like, Epcot crack? Oh, what, is there a crack in the line or something specific that I don't remember?
Well, maybe there is.
I'm sure there's plenty of cracks in the track.
Yeah, probably.
Nothing dangerous, folks.
What is the shelf life on
Concrete?
like that kind of cement like that? Is it 100 years? Is it more?
I really don't know. I mean, I'm sure they've probably had to do some repair work. As a matter of fact, I think I've spotted some like fill-in jobs in some areas.
Probably. But tires happen. I mean, this happens, right? In a tire.
Well, that's what I was just about to say. I'm sure this is not the first time in the 30-some-odd year history of these particular models of monorail that one of the tires went flat.
Yeah.
It's just the first time in the era in which everything gets reported on. Every little thing that happens gets reported on.
And am I mistaken, or is that the Great Monorail Fire of 1985? Wasn't that caused by a flat tire?
I don't remember.
I think. Okay, I should probably verify that, but I feel like that's what was the cause of the fire back in 85. The only time like that ever happened.
You mentioned that. I think I actually I scanned. We had the newspaper clipping that we saved, and I actually scanned a copy of it.
That's literally, I think, the only picture of that incident is like a horrible black and white newspaper photo.
Possibly. It would have been much different in this day and age.
Exactly. Oh, that happened on the Epcot line as well. Interesting. Yeah, okay, so it says incident details. The fire started in the rear car of the monorail when a tire failed and caught fire due to friction. The monorail operator, who was among the casualties, attempted to drive the train to the nearest station, but was unable to do so due to the severity of the fire. Tragically, 7 passengers died in the incident, and several others were injured. Following investigation, it found that the monorail lacked adequate fire safety features, and changes were made to improve the system. So I imagine some of those changes were if a tire goes flat, you stop and you don't continue to cause friction on a flat tire that would
keep
cause
going.
another fire. Right.
Like just a flat tire, we can make it to the station.
Right, exactly. And where it stopped, it had a long way to go to get to the station. So there's no way they would have made it without causing some kind of fire, probably. So they did the right thing. They stopped. They evacuated everybody pretty easily. I don't know how long it took overall, but
Well, I would imagine in this day and age now, they probably have some kind of sensors on it too, I guess.
yeah,
When
which is
something
probably
goes
due to that
wrong.
fire in 1985 that,
Well, that part, the sensor thing, is due to technology advancing. I'm
sure.
sure.
But I mean, these trains are still,
Yeah.
pretty old, although that was the old Mark IV trains, right?
Yeah.
85 would have been.
I was gonna say, just like once upon a time, you didn't have a tire gauge sensor on your
Right.
vehicle.
And now every like day that it's cold, the
Yeah.
first cold day of the year, it's like your tire pressures are low. Every tire.
Or if there's your sensors malfunctioning.
That too.
But yeah, once upon a time, kids, you actually had to
Check it with a
yeah.
manual
Yeah, you
gauge.
had to actually make sure there was air in your tires, and then the only way you knew if it was going down flat is if it was lopsided,
Right. Or if you were driving and it
or
was like,
or if you heard something
okay.
that sounded like the rim on the concrete, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, we had it rough, man, growing up. Fun times. Anyway, so yeah, any more on this? Do you want to make fun of the monorail anymore? Or...
No, I'm not gonna make fun of the monorail.
Here's the other question. Is it more of, are they allowing maintenance on the monorail to lapse enough to where they don't check the tires often enough? Is this like an old tire that
No, I
should have
don't.
been replaced 6 months ago and they just let it go? Or is this a malfunction or bad tire, whatever?
No, I mean this has the potential of happening on a daily basis. Really, it just I mean it's no different than the tires on your car, right? It has the
Right.
potential of happening on a regular basis.
Right. But I'm just saying, is this a maintenance issue? Like, because we've noticed, first of all, these trains are, as we said, going on 40 years old. So are they?
For all I know, it could have been a spot on the track.
Yeah, that's possible too. Could have been, a squirrel left something on the
Squirrel.
track. I don't know.
Could have been they ran over a squirrel.
Well, it could have been, but I mean, I was going to say a squirrel left like a rock on the track or something, but that would be odd that a squirrel would do that. But
Well, especially since the tires roll on the side, it'd be kind of hard to lay something on it.
yeah, isn't there tires on the front though, and the top? I mean, what else would it roll on? There's
don't
got to be
think
some tires on the front too, right?
Maybe.
I don't know what kind of tire went flat.
All I know is
Was
the
it
only ones I see are on the side.
right, but there are guide tires on the top. I mean, it's got to roll on something.
Okay.
But I don't know what tire went flat, so.
You're ruining the illusion of the monorail.
Right. I think they handle it really well. It could happen. There are no tires on the Skyliner. We are aware of that. It says it took an hour and 20 minutes total to get everybody off. What do you think they gave the passengers who were stuck on there? Give them some lightning lanes or something?
I have no idea.
Disney gift cards?
The story doesn't say.
It happened at 9:15 a.m.
They probably gave them sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, folks. Monorail's closed.
Right.
I really don't know.
We do hear about monorail incidents more often these days, don't we?
More often than you once did, but like we said, there's also because of exposure.
Yeah. I've said this before, so I don't want to sound like a broken record, but what bugs me is they haven't updated the monorail spiel at all since the whole door incident, and the driver still has to come on the intercom that you can't understand them on and says, "Well, our next stop is don't stand at your doors, right?" And it's like, why can't they update the spiel and say, "Welcome aboard the monorail. Please don't lean on the doors. Our next stop will be the Grand Floridian." But they won't update the monorail spiel. It's been how many years? Like 4, 5 years now since that happened. It was pre-COVID.
I don't know.
It just bugs me that every time I ride the monorail, you have to wait, the doors close, and the monorail driver, however fast or slow they decide to do it, comes on the intercom and says, "Don't lean on the doors. Our next stop is the Contemporary," or whatever it is. And I'm just like, you can't fix this yet? Like, we
because
can't.
they don't want to they want to keep the original
Right,
what's
but
his
it's like
name?
actually, I think the guy who did the spiel did he have a stroke or something? He can't. So the guy who
The most
currently is the
the most
spiel
recent.
can't record, couldn't be the voice anymore. Is my point. I feel like I think he had a stroke or something.
How many voices have they had?
Well, we know Jack Wagner was the original.
Yeah, that's the only clip of him that still remains is the "Please stand
Right,
clear of
the
the
door.
doors."
Right. Which I hope will never go away. I'm sure there would be
Yeah.
protests if that ever happened.
Maybe it's because of the era I grew up in, but I was kind of preferable to the '90s guy.
Yes, I love that guy's voice. He still does a few things.
Yeah,
He's one of the phone voices when you're on hold for something.
he
I
is.
can't remember
Oh,
what, but
okay.
I was like, dude, that's the guy. Yeah, the 90s guy was really good. And then I feel like there was one in between Jack Wagner and the 90s guy. And then there
There
was
was
early 2000s voice too.
maybe.
That was pretty good. And now I think it's this guy who also voiced like Yoda on the
They all
Clone
sound
Wars.
similar. The latest ones sound similar.
Yeah. Tom Kane was the guy who does it. But if I remember correctly, he physically is not able to do voiceover anymore.
Yeah.
So
Disney, just in case you need someone to do a spiel, I'm available.
yeah, exactly. We would both jump at that chance.
Yeah.
That'd be
Please
awesome.
stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
You got to do the more bass in your voice, like Jack Wagner. You can't, if you're gonna do that, you gotta at least
Well,
try to be
I was
bassy.
kind of
Like,
doing it like the guys. What is it? If you're disembarking,
yeah, thank you. I
please.
just love
What was it?
that guy.
Take
Did a great
small
job
children by the hand and watch your head and step.
as you exit. Thank you. And I love how he would talk about on the right hand side is Bay Lake.
Yeah.
I just like the way you said that. Anyway, we are really getting super nerdy on this, so we should probably change subjects.
Anyway,
Yes.
looks like Kevin is roaming around in Dino Land again,
Yes.
or he's roaming around in Dino Land at least. I think
Speaking
Kevin's
of-
been away for a while, hasn't he?
Yeah, Kevin. We saw Kevin a couple weeks ago.
Oh, he did?
He
Okay.
was near Dino Land that day, but I guess he was kind of
Sorry,
on the bridge between.
Wait a minute. Don't you mean she?
Sorry, she. You're right. Correct. She is a she. My bad. Speaking of she's, Asha from the Wish, from the movie Wish. Did I say the Wish? I was thinking the ship.
Oh, yeah.
From Wish.
Oh, I almost forgot about that movie.
Yeah. Is now meeting guests at Epcot.
Oh, okay. What is it? Is the film? The film's not out yet, right? It's out this month, so
Yeah, let me see.
we
What's the
releases this
date?
month. Speaking of that, though, since we're talking about movies and we're looking that up, Indiana Jones did get an official Disney Plus now. It's December 1st.
Okay. So it's coming out November 22nd is Wish. Yeah. I knew
Okay.
it was soon.
Over the Thanksgiving holiday kind of makes sense.
Yeah. So Indiana Jones, December 1st.
Yeah.
Is that when you're going to watch it?
Possibly.
You'll have to, because I've been wanting to talk about it since June.
I know, it's
so
been a long time.
I'll have to watch it again just to remember.
What was the other film that we never got to talk about because not everybody watched it? Well, you finally watched Elemental. I remember we talked about that one.
Actually, I haven't still.
Oh, it wasn't you? Okay. Haunted Mansion, maybe?
Yeah, maybe it was Haunted
Did we
Mansion.
do that one?
We didn't all three of us talk about it. We should have when we were all on together. But
Gotcha.
next time we'll talk about Haunted Mansion. I'll have to remember that.
You have to remember that. Make a note of it.
Yeah.
However, the holiday season, I mean,
Yeah. It is now
Yeah.
officially Christmas.
Yeah, I was about to say Halloween just finished, so
Oh, did you hear? Like, I was reading a lot of people complaining about the November 1st Halloween party because this year it's kind of rare lately that they've done a November 1st party. I'm trying to think of the last year they did a November 1st. I do remember it, but it's been several years since they've done that. So people were complaining that they showed up on November 1st and it was still pumpkins and not Christmas. So they were like, what?
I
Like,
have
There's
noticed.
a Christmas party. Check your calendar. Like,
Yeah.
golly, like plan ahead, people.
I have noticed this year in particularly, it's like people are even like, they're like immediately, they take down their Halloween stuff and they're immediately wanting to go into Christmas stuff.
Yeah.
I've usually seen people wait at least a little while, but like people are like eager to get the Christmas stuff out.
Yeah.
So I haven't done it just yet, but actually, I got to be honest, I was thinking of doing it earlier than usual.
Really?
So, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not as Christmassy as I used to be. So,
Oh,
but maybe I'll do something earlier. Who knows?
something. Well, the gingerbread houses are
Being put up. I'm sure by the
they're
time
mostly finished.
right this comes out, it's probably already open.
Yeah.
I did I talk about this last year? We waited in line and we bought the gingerbread and did some of the treats at the Grand Floridian. It was just okay. Like, I don't know why people line up for this. Like, it's just a thing to do, I guess, but they weren't that good. It was like, I've had way better gingerbread.
Well, it's because of the fact that they built a house out of it, I
I
suppose.
guess, but it's really just a gift shop inside of a gingerbread house where they
Right.
sell
Yeah,
prepackaged.
you get to
you
buy
know,
a piece of the house, even though if you're
It's not,
really,
yeah.
even though if you're really getting a piece of the house, this would have to be one humongous house with as many
Right.
pieces as they sell.
Well, the house would be like nothing by the end of the first day if they sold all the
about.
pieces of it. But yeah, the gingerbread they sell out of there is just okay. It's not great. It's kind of dry. It's like, it's not very good. Like, I've made better gingerbread at home. There's a novelty to it, I guess, and something you can post on Instagram, but otherwise, I don't really think it's worth it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do it again, in other words.
gotcha.
There is quite a bit of news on the Central Tourism Oversight District stuff we can skim through,
I think Disney was,
clapping back, so to speak.
well, they were kind of saying that the recent,
The thing about constitutional mutiny, that was one of the big statements they made that DeSantis.
basically, I think they were trying to say that the fact that Universal had their
Yes.
district.
That was the one that was like, yeah, because Universal literally just got a special tax district approved by the state, and it's controlled by Universal. It wasn't governor appointed board that has nothing to do with Disney making decisions for Disney. It's clearly a huge difference in both things. So,
Well, you knew as soon as that was done that they were going to make that point. The lawyers were going to make that
oh yeah,
point.
as they should
So,
jump on that.
um,
It'd be crazy if
yeah.
they didn't. Again, I don't think DeSantis was really trying to necessarily win this case, but he won in the sense of Disney's not speaking out about anything anymore because they're too busy with this. So he got what he wanted, but who knows how this will all end up eventually. It's going to cost Disney a lot of money and a lot of time trying to get back what they had. If they manage to do so, will be quite costly and time consuming. So he stuck it to him one way or the other.
When all is said and done, this will not be one of the things that people remember long term. So
Hopefully.
no,
I hope they can get it returned back to the way it was and just move on eventually. It didn't really help his presidential campaign at all, as you can see. He's not doing great there. So,
well, no one is. So,
well, someone is, but
well, I mean, no opposition is. So, which is not that surprising, but I think some people just kind of thought that they could.
yeah. Anyway, the Thunderbirds flew over. That was kind of cool. If you were there, that was neat to see. But it happens at like every Super Bowl, so
Yeah,
they do it every now and then at Disney. This isn't the first time that's ever happened.
yeah. Well, that is, it's a neat thing to see.
Yeah, especially over the castle or over Spaceship
Yeah.
Earth. It's like it's a neat thing to see. It doesn't happen that often. So, did you see though? Okay, I wonder what people haven't seen how Diz X, is that what we're calling it now? Not Diz Twitter, but Diz X. I don't know.
Does that
Is responding to the luminous barges now. They're not as big, but they're still
are they
barges.
permanent?
They kind of look like it. They're not as gaudy as the harmonious barges, but
I mean,
there's some barges.
did they think it was the name that was the problem? I mean, I'm pretty sure did they actually read did they actually read the complaints?
Right,
Because they just barely changed the name.
Right. Okay, so the name, will change it to a slightly shorter name, actually.
Right.
And the slightly smaller barges.
I guess. I mean,
it's like, what did they do? Take the harmonious barges and just like chop them down by half and then send them back out there? That's all they did.
It kind of feels like it's like, all right, we're going to treat you like you're complete idiots, okay? Like,
yeah,
we're going to take down the Chapek barges and we're putting up the Eiger barges.
Right.
Yeah, how about that?
Exactly. The Eiger barges are not as offensive,
Chapek-y.
but they're a little bit. They're still a little annoying, but not as annoying.
Oh, gosh. I mean,
they've overstayed their welcome.
Look,
anyway.
Disney has proven in many ways, especially in recent times, just how out of touch they are with their fan base. I'm sorry, they really have. Because when they say they're listening to you, and then they still do what they want to do, pretty much. I don't know.
South Park would argue that they abused the Panderstone, I believe is what they called it.
I have to see that.
Yeah, that I heard about this, and so I had to watch it. I haven't watched South Park in a long time, but I did watch that one, and yeah, interesting.
Look, I mean, I don't see how this is really all that hard. I don't know who they have coming up with these ideas and what they're paying attention to that they think is what real people actually want to do and see. But somebody's got to come in there with some common sense.
They blamed a lot of it on Kathleen Kennedy.
Well, I don't know if Kathleen Kennedy's that out of touch. I mean, she's at least been a part of some things that were halfway successful.
Yeah.
So
I don't know how involved she was.
But isn't she just Lucasfilm?
Yeah. Yeah. But I think she's on the board, right? I assume because of that. I don't know. But I don't know how much sway she has. But I know the Star Wars people don't like her. And I don't know how involved she was in the story of the Indiana Jones movie, but they really could have. There's a lot that could have been better about that movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. I won't talk about it until we all see it. But
let's go all the way back to 2015. They had a decent launching pad with The Force Awakens, and then after that, it just never got better.
Yeah,
pretty much everything after that was not.
And if there's enough content out there of Mark Hamill talking about how much he hated The Last Jedi, that you can piece together kind of some of the story where it's just like, why didn't Ryan Johnson or anybody, Kathleen Kennedy, any of the Bob Iger, go like, the guy who was the original hero is very vocal about his opposition to the story, and yet we're just going to completely ignore the original cast and just blaze ahead with our new ideas without even thinking about how the fan base may react to it.
Right. Here's the thing that to me, okay, I totally understand wanting to move forward and do a new story and everything. Yeah. But you have had a fan base that has been waiting a really long time to see the original characters on the big screen, and they want to see them do more than die. Yeah.
Which basically is all we saw. And not a single scene of all three of them together. The original three human cast members.
Right.
No Luke, Leia, and Han at all.
That just seems completely tone deaf.
Right.
To the fan base.
Why couldn't we have gotten a scene with all three of them in the Falcon one time. Nothing.
Like I said,
So
you could still do that in a way and still develop new characters and a new story.
yeah,
I mean,
you
to be quite honest, they ruined some of the new characters before it was all said and done.
right.
So
You barely got Luke and Leia or Luke and Han or Han and Leia. No Luke and Han at all. And it's like, why? What were you thinking, man? I don't get that.
I think it's interesting that
Why?
Abrams did the first and the last one, right? And I can't help but see the coincidence in which Snoke rhymes with smoke because he had a
smoke
monster that basically they never fully explained anything about that. It just kind of faded into the background too. So,
Godly. Yeah. Anyway. And of course now Carrie Fisher's gone. Harrison Ford will never do another Star Wars, no matter how much you pay him.
Dude, he was just,
there's nothing you can do about it.
He just showed up for the paycheck as it was.
Right.
I remember.
But he did do a good job in Force Awakens.
Oh, of course. I mean, yeah, he's going to do his job.
He gave it his all, yeah.
Well, yeah, of course, he's going to do his job. He's a professional.
But it just...
But he was never passionate about these projects.
And he's very vocal about that part, too. Whereas Mark Hamill would have gladly been in all three, featured as much as you wanted him to, but you put him for 2 seconds at the end of the first one, and then the second movie is like he's a completely different person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why? Like, that's so... Why?
Yeah. It's funny because I think about this interview. I remember seeing it way back whenever, I can't remember if it was Letterman or it was one of the late night ones.
Yeah.
They were interviewing Harrison Ford about the movie coming up, and they said something, but what about the script? Like, so they said, the script? I was talking about the contract.
Yeah, I think that was Jimmy Kimmel Live, actually. Yeah.
It probably might have been.
Like, it was Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that comment in particular. It was funny, but it was also very true.
He's not joking. Yeah.
He's very dry. He has
I expect to be well paid to... I mean, he is a lot like Han.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I ain't in this for your revolution.
I'm not in this for your revolution. I expect to be well paid.
Well paid, that's it. I'm in it for the money.
Like, I ain't in this for your film series. I expect to be well paid.
Exactly, that's it.
Actually, back then he probably got paid decent, but not near as well as he would eventually get paid because he just blew up after the Star Wars films. Well, really,
yeah.
It was the launching pad to him doing bigger things. Indiana Jones, really, but the fact that he did that around the same time, it probably blew him up as a star,
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like if you're thinking in modern times, very Chris Pratt-esque, I guess.
Sure.
So, don't you think?
Yeah.
Because he had a lot of projects around the same time that were successful.
Right.
Close together.
Just a big star.
Yeah.
Lots of big franchises, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, similar. For sure. Jingle Cruise is back. Oh, you probably want to talk about the Hulu thing?
Well, I mean, we could talk about that. That might go a little deep. I can't help but when I look at this story, I feel like Comcast wins again. In a way. No, don't you think? I mean, even though they have to sell it for a fair market share.
But Disney has to fork over more cash to them.
Yeah. Has to spend more money on, let's face it, streaming, even though, it's, I don't know how long it's going to take to make money on streaming. Hulu itself going to have some pretty stiff competition as far as regular television goes, You've got your YouTube TVs out there and things like Fubo that are offering good deals, and you still got some competition. Yep. So,
is Disney going to try to sell Hulu off now that they own it all? Or more of it?
That's a good question.
Like,
I find it hard to believe that that's the reason why they would pay that kind of money for it, though, but just to turn around and sell it again?
I don't know.
I mean, if they want to do that, why not make a counteroffer to Comcast to sell their share to them?
Yeah, well, they probably don't want them to own it.
They just want to buy their share, and so they can't have it, right? Okay.
Probably, yeah. They probably don't want them owning any of it.
I don't really think Comcast has any interest in that, to be quite honest.
Yeah, probably not. They could use that $8 billion to make Epic Universe even more epic now. So,
yeah. Here's the other thing about that story, though, that the fair value will be assessed as of September 30th, 2023, right?
Yeah.
So if the value is determined to be greater than the guaranteed floor value, which is currently that 8.61 billion, right? Disney will pay.
I think it's 27.5 billion is the floor value of Hulu. That NBC's portion was 8.6 billion or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
But what they're saying is, though, if the value turns out to be greater, then Disney has to pay.
They have to pay the difference.
Them the difference, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, if it's less, they don't have to pay anything different. It just stays the way it is, right? That's the floor. That was part of the deal. I mean, what are the odds that it turns out to be worth more?
I don't know. I mean, after COVID, is it worth more? I don't know.
So September 30th is basically in the fiscal year for probably both these companies. I don't know not every most companies, that's their measuring stick. Like October 1st turns the fiscal year over. But not every company is that way. We know Disney is.
You still have Hulu, don't you?
I do, because it was part of the package.
What do they have that's better or different than Netflix or Paramount or Peacock or some of the others like that?
Well, I really only have it for the live. I mean, I have the Hulu Live.
The live TV.
For TV.
They have some original series that did well, but I'm trying to think of what. I watched Hulu a little bit. I do still have a subscription but I don't really watch much on it that I can think of.
Yeah, I was actually looking at possibly reducing the package because the price is going up, but
right,
reducing it's not going to make much of a difference, to be honest. One thing I did when I was examining my streaming that I have, I downgraded my Netflix to the ad version. It was like half the price. Yeah,
I probably should.
Half the price.
I don't watch Netflix much at all. I'm still paying an enormous.
Right. So like the regular is something like $16 now or thereabouts.
Something like that, yeah. 15, yeah, I think it is.
So going down to the ad version dropped it all the way down to $6.99.
Yeah.
Now, I don't really watch it. My wife likes to watch it, so that's another reason why I kept it. So there were some series and stuff that she watched on there. But since it just recently switched over to the ad version, and I asked her if it was really all that worse, and she said the only thing is annoying is they seem to play the same like 2 or 3 ads every single time they do an ad. So that was the only thing that was a bit annoying about it. But
repetitive
it wasn't that
ads.
But they weren't that long.
Okay.
Either, so
I might switch down to that because I don't use it that much. I don't watch hardly anything.
Right.
So,
and that was also, I think, one device at a time. I don't have the multiple devices version. So I don't remember how they do that. But yeah.
And we will be right back.
Teaching her how to drive. But Dad, why not use Greenlight to help her save for her own car? Mowing lawns and getting paid. She'll go from washing your car to flexing with her own. How? With Greenlight, the money app for families. Together, you can navigate the world of earning, saving, and investing. Because when you teach her to be smart about money, she'll go far. Invest in your best investment. Sign up today at greenlight.com.
And now, back to the show.
All right, so this conversation started from...
over a post I saw,
actually. A meme that you saw or post someone made. And then we now have quite a few of these little questions, I guess. But this is maybe some of the lesser talked about things, maybe, or things that you wouldn't think to.
Yeah, I guess we'll say that.
Yeah, I don't know how to.
That's the best way to describe it.
Categorize it, but yeah, things you wouldn't think about as much, but.
Right. Well, the original idea, I guess, kind of, what will we say? We kind of spun off.
Yeah.
Yeah, from which Disney World ride do you think has the most uncomfortable seats?
Yeah.
Now, this did say specifically ride, but I wanted to expand it too, because what if you just said attraction? Like, you include the shows, because some of the shows, some of the shows could have some pretty bad seats. I mean, when I think about it, I don't find the seats at the Beauty and the Beast show to be very comfortable at all. It's those like metal things that you sit on, and like if you were at a high school football game.
Yeah.
those type of seats.
And like,
So-
Festival of Lion King's not very comfortable. It's like bench seats too.
Yeah.
Well, when you posted that question, the very first thing I thought of was teacups because I had just done it a couple weeks ago. It
Right.
was two guys who were very tall. Like the person I wrote it with was taller than me,
Oh, yeah.
and we had two kids with us.
On top of that.
So
your knees were pretty much getting rubbed by the
yeah,
by the
we could
by
barely
the
spin
wheel.
the thing because our legs were touching everything. So
Yeah.
it's not comfortable at all.
Oh yeah.
It was very difficult to get in and out as well for anyone who's over 6 feet tall. It's like very difficult. That was the first thing I thought of.
Yeah. Yeah, does that make that's an uncomfortable situation to be in, but is the seat itself uncomfortable though? It kind of begs a
I do think it's uncomfortable, but
I guess the position
it's
counts.
cramped because it's cramped.
Well, speaking of two tall guys, what if you were trying to get in the Astro Orbiter? I mean,
Yeah, I did. Jason and I wrote it together in one thing once, and that was very, close quarters. I don't think I would do that again, but
when I say some of them, it matters where you're sitting. I think the worst seat in a Space Mountain car is the back.
really,
I do.
like the very back, or the
Yes.
back of the three, any of the back of
Because the last time that I rode Space in the back, I might be getting confused with this that time I rode the Matterhorn. The Matterhorn in the back is definitely a chiropractor's
the
dream.
three. Yeah, you will like
Yeah.
pop a vertebrae in the back of the Matterhorn.
Yeah.
But Space Mountain, the seat itself is actually comfortable, but for someone tall like me, I think the front is worse because you don't have anywhere to tuck your legs.
Yeah, your knees are kind of like hanging off.
Yeah. If I'm in the back, I can
Yeah.
at least sort of tuck my legs underneath the seat in front of me, in between.
Can you imagine somebody like Shaq sitting in the front seat at Space Mountain?
No, I don't think
Actually,
he could.
I don't think he could sit in the other seats, to be honest. Even his legs would be too long.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just don't think he'd fit at all.
His head might even get knocked off by the track. I don't know.
I would say is this controversial to say? I don't find Tron that comfortable, so
Well,
it's only a minute, so it's not that
unique,
bad.
but I think for what it is, it's comfortable. I mean,
I think for a lot of people, though, it's very uncomfortable.
well, some people could probably say a similar situation for Flight of Passage then, because it's
Yeah.
almost the exact same thing, only it's not a coaster.
That's true. There was a lady sitting next to me, or was going to sit next to me on Flight of Passage, and the second she sat in that thing, she was like, "Nope, not doing this. Nope, can't do it." And she just like got up, like, "I can't do it, can't do it."
I had an experience. This was at Six Flags, though, not Disney World, where there were two ladies of a little bit larger size. We were getting on the screen machine, and they sat down next to each other, and they were like, "Yeah, no, this ain't happening." They got
Well, yeah, this lady wasn't advanced size. It was just, I think she was more like claustrophobic or something. Like, no, this dude can't do
okay.
it. I think it was more nerves or anxiety or something. Which I get that. I mean, if you're not sure what to expect, I think it was her first time doing it. She was just like, "Nope, not doing it." Once you kind of saw it,
Something like an older ride, though, a lot of times, you got to think it was built in a different era, and it usually was not quite as wide as some of them would become.
yeah,
Same way with some of the queues in Disneyland, for instance, stuff like that.
yeah. I find the boats for Pirates in Small World to be a little small for someone of
Disneyland
my
or
height.
for World? Or are they the
I
same?
guess World. I'm thinking more World.
Yeah.
I don't know if Tiana's Bayou Adventure is going to use the exact same boats. I assume they will. Just kind of retheme them, but they were a little small too with the lap bar and everything. It was not the most comfortable.
You know what I just thought of that's not really the most comfortable in the world is actually Spaceship Earth.
Yeah, they're not. It's It's okay, but yeah,
Well,
I mean,
especially for someone taller, because the headrests are like in the they're not a
That's
good
true.
spot for the
that's
tall
true.
folks.
They're not. That's true.
The so-called headrest. I can't even rest my head on it.
Were people just shorter in the 80s still? When did we get really tall? Most people.
Well, there were, I get maybe they were, they're making it for the average, I guess, more or less. Because I'm definitely above average. I'm approximately 6'2".
Yeah.
So I'm definitely above average. So
Right. 6'2", 252.
not close.
Yeah.
Pretty close. The last time when I went to the doctor, I was 249.
Oh, really? So you are
Yeah.
6'2", 252. It's all muscle.
Yeah. Well, it's spread out well.
Yeah. Well, that's good. As long as it's spread out. Well, let's move on to the longest feeling wait time. So which queue feels the longest, even if it's not necessarily the longest wait time?
And the first one that came to mind whenever we talked about this earlier was Soren, just
Yeah.
because you do have a lot of those stop and goes, and it makes it
Yes.
feel longer because you're doing that. So
There's a lot of just stop. And then you get to even if you're in the lightning lane line, you get to the merge point and they'll send you down one of the 3 concourses and you go maybe halfway down the ramp if you're lucky. And then you stop completely for like 7 minutes. You don't move at all. And then
Soren,
you go down around the corner. Yeah.
Soren is probably either the only or one of only a handful that I can think of that when you use the lightning lane, you don't really feel very lightning.
No.
Like it's a lightning.
Yeah, because you're doing a lot of just standing.
You don't feel like you're getting there quick.
Yeah. And then when you get down there and around the corner, you just wait again while everybody gets queued up in their rows.
Right.
And then you got to stand through the intro video, and then you can get in there. So it's quite a lengthy process.
Yeah. Just because I experienced the after hours at Epcot, I think all the ones that have the pre-shows there make those seem like a lot longer, especially when you were trying to do Guardians.
Yeah. The multiple pre-shows is
Yeah. And I get there's a
frustrating.
purpose for it, but
Right.
S-Track felt like it was taking longer than I would.
Yeah, Test
Like
Track
to.
is awful.
And I walked right in, and just with the pre-shows, So,
If you have a big group in Test Track when you're designing the cars, you could be the first family all the way at the end of that room, and you're going to have people that lag behind, and you'll end up having to let so many people through because somebody didn't just move quickly and get out the door, and you're like, where is grandma? Or she's like 8, she's all the way in the back of the room, so we have to wait for her to catch up, and anyway.
I mean, back in the day, like take Universe of Energy, for example. Even though there was technically a pre-show, it all felt like it all went together, like it was all part of one big attraction, right?
Yeah.
You know what you think? I mean, there was not a whole lot of like waiting without something going on type.
Right, yeah.
And you weren't as eager to get to something as you are in, say, Guardians. So
Right.
it was all meant to be leisure. I mean, this attraction that took almost an hour.
Yes. People were more patient back then.
Maybe
I think that's true. Okay, here's another one. Most jarring transition. Which ride or show has a scene, change, or element that feels out of place or disrupts the flow?
I don't think I like this one.
The first one I thought of was, it's a little different answer to the question, but Journey of the Little Mermaid. When you go from Ursula to we're going up, now we're out of the sea and on land again. We kiss the girl, and then Ursula's dead, and then the ride's over. It's like, that's
They kind of ran it together.
Well, they just sort of ended it really quickly. It was like, we blew our budget on the giant Ursula and the kiss the girl scene, and so it's essentially just, we go from kiss the girl to, oh, Ursula's dead, fireworks, surprise.
Like you see her in the background.
Yeah,
sneaking.
she's like, it's like, well, what happened? She just died?
Yeah,
she just like abruptly died? Like,
okay, I can see that argument.
I think that every single time I'm on that ride, I'm like, they just like skipped the whole climax of the movie and just went to, okay, she lost her voice and now Ursula's dead and everything's great again. Anyway.
Something that always seemed weird to me, I know I've mentioned this before, how like even though I love this attraction and the details, don't get me wrong, but Tower of Terror, how you go into the library and then behind the bookshelf
you're in the boiler room.
Boiler room.
Yeah.
The boiler room should be below. It should be in the basement. Like you go behind the bookshelf and then you're in the boiler room.
Yeah.
That seems a bit out of place.
Yeah. I know there's no logistical way to do this, but Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run is like you're in a queue and all of a sudden you're just on the Falcon.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
There's no like walking up the ramp. Of course you can't do that. I get it. But it's like,
yeah.
How do you just like walk down this ramp and you're in the not cockpit, but you're in the whatever common area of the Falcon.
Yeah. I got you.
Anyway.
Yeah, that one's not as
it's not like jarring.
Yeah. How about Haunted Mansion where you see the facade and you don't go through the front door yet you go through the front door?
Yeah, that too, right. Yeah.
Something like that.
Right. Most overlooked detail, like rides that have a lot of details that most people don't notice.
The most overlooked details?
Yes.
So I guess there have to be rides that have a lot of details. So that would, gosh, there's a lot of them that have details.
I'd say Runaway Railway has a lot to it. Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway has a lot.
That was part of the attraction. Right. It has a lot of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of the new stuff has a lot of detail that it's hard to miss. Yeah, that's the repeatability.
Well, Disney was always good about making stuff like that. Like back with, Maelstrom, I mean, you had one of the Vikings wearing the Mickey ears, like that became a hidden Mickey, right? That became one of the first ones that people ever talked about,
right?
That led to many others that we apparently were out there or even created in some cases.
There's some good hidden Mickeys in Grand Fiesta Tour that are hard to spot sometimes.
Yeah, there you go.
So stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's some good details in that ride.
I mean, if you take something like Rise, I'm sure there's like tons of details in the actual attraction, and there's just you're moving through it so quickly. I'm sure there's some very specific things that don't get noticed every time.
And there is that hidden Mickey that we posted about.
Yeah,
that a lot of people come to our site for.
But they're very good with the details anyway. Disney is. I mean, it's hard to say what overlooked ones are.
This is a good one, too. Worst ride photo. I know what one came to my mind. So there's, 13 now on ride photos? Which one is the worst? The one that always comes to my mind is Buzz Lightyear.
I was about to say that one was, I was thinking that's one of them.
Yeah. Even when I'm trying to pose for the picture, I can't actually tell when it took my picture because I'm like, I see a flash and I'm like, wait, was that me? And then I see another flash and I'm like, wait, maybe that was my picture. And then another flash, I'm like, okay, was that my picture?
All I know is based on the most of the photos, it's in some kind of a moment where everybody's attention is to the like center left shooting at something. That's all I know that much.
Right. Or people are like,
yeah.
So I try to be as silly as possible on that one. Another one that to me is like always catches people off guard is Dinosaur.
Yeah, but you know where it is.
Right. I mean, usually people are just like...
Yeah, they're always focused on the...
They're staring the right direction, but they're like...
Yeah, they're all well, you're looking at the Carnosaur.
So every time now, I just do like a crazy... like
anything
pointing at it or something. Just because it's like silly.
Isn't Slinky in kind of an odd place? Like it's on the side. Like most people are looking forward at something most of the time.
Yeah, it's in the middle of that turn too, so it's like people
it's just
are
kind of
like,
an odd place.
Yeah,
like, it's not one where you're really catching somebody by surprise.
Right.
Well, I mean, you are, but in a bad way.
Right. And Everest is like right at the peak of that drop, so most people are like,
and everybody sees that flash coming. That's a good positioning though. That's where else would you
It's
do?
better than Slinky Dog, yes, because
Yeah.
you get a better angle. Slinky Dog,
I'm not even sure. Isn't the one with where's Space Mountains? I'm not even sure
it's
if I
right
remember
on
what it
the
is.
before you even start the first
First
turn.
curve, right?
Yeah, it
I
catches
thought
everybody
that's where it
off guard.
was.
I've figured out which side to look and how to do
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah.
it's it does catch most people off guard too. Haunted Mansion, if you don't know where it is, it
Most people
catches people
get
in a
caught
really
by
like.
surprise.
Usually, people are like looking really bored or like,
Or disappointed.
right? They're just like, yeah. So if you don't know, and all of a sudden you have this picture where you're like staring blankly, that's what most of the people I've seen. They're just like staring oddly. I have a blank look on their face.
Well, a lot of people are. That's another one where a lot of people are looking up at something, upward. You know?
Yeah.
What is it they're looking up at there? Because I don't even know if I know
The
where
portrait.
it is.
The portrait. It's the
Which
hallway.
portrait?
It's the last one. The Medusa.
So your face is to the side? That's just odd.
Well, you're kind of. I mean, you're angled that way. You're kind of looking.
I know,
at
but
it.
it's still odd to have it that just be the last one of those. It's not. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. Moving on. Most underwhelming ride finale. Honestly, would probably say Rise of the Resistance. I think the drop
Really?
tower part is kind of cool. It catches you off guard, like the dropping, but then it's like a
I
motion
can't
simulator.
say that. Yeah.
I was
can't
saying
say that.
after that. The drop part is cool, but then the motion simulator thing, it's like you're riding Star Tours all of a sudden. And the rest of the ride is like these live action set pieces that you're going through. And then you're looking at a screen with like, oh, we're crash landed. It's kind of underwhelming, I think.
I'm just
personally.
going through I'm trying to go through as many in my head as I can.
Looks like your escape pod came in a little off target.
There's a lot of them that I would say could be considered underwhelming. I mean,
I'm just saying, compared to the rest of Rise of the Resistance, that finale is kind of meh, to be honest. That's all I'm saying.
well, let's say, if you want to talk about, I guess we could say underwhelming and an odd ending, Imagination.
Yes. Okay, yes.
I mean, I say that kind of takes you by surprise, but I mean, the very ending is like in that room with the
The
stars,
moon.
right? Or whatever. The moon, yeah.
Yeah, that's a creepy way to end.
It's just a very odd flow. I'm just trying to think of ones that end. I mean, there's nothing really all that shocking about the ending of Nemo either. I mean, it's just you start Big Blue World, right? I mean, that's not exactly. It just ends.
Yeah.
I don't know. Would you consider like, help me, Mr. Smee, help me?
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's an ending at least. Unlike, as I would say, as I said before, the Journey of the Little Mermaid is
A very abrupt in a way, right?
yeah. It's just like we're halfway through the movie, and then the last 20 feet of the ride is like everything's over. It's just like that's it. Okay.
I guess you could consider Tron an abrupt ending.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of funny because you do, and remember, it was a Good Morning America, I think, where the host was like, "Oh, are we about to launch again? Oh, this is it." So that was pretty telling. It was like, "Oh, this is pretty cool," and then all of a sudden, it just kind of stops, and it's like, "Oh, you're back."
Yeah,
It's
ones
like-
that have not the best finales, I guess. Huh?
Right. Yeah. Even Guardians doesn't really have. I would say the finale is pretty good, though. I wouldn't put it in this category, but it still kind of ends the same way, where you're not really sure it's over, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're stopped.
It's finished. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, they signify it with the little video.
Right.
So,
That's the cool part is the video of the.
and it's always entertaining.
Yeah.
Comedic.
It's good. So it's a good ending. It's just Tron ends similarly, where you're like, is it over? And all of a sudden it's like, oh, it was over, and then you're like, that's it.
I was gonna say
It's like a minute long.
anticlimactic endings. I mean, you like don't exactly know when Speedway is over, so
Yeah. Right.
it's the same all the way through.
Yeah. As long as you don't hit the car in front of you.
Anyway,
Okay. Can't think of any others at the moment. All right, moving on. Oh, quickest to cause motion sickness. It's not a great question.
for most people, it's probably going to be Guardians.
Yeah, I was gonna say Guardians after that launch and you like spin all the way around. That's probably gets a lot of people.
Right now, at my age, for me, it's probably going to be something that spins. So
Did you say Mission Space?
anything
Was
that
it?
spins.
Oh,
Probably
yeah, I would
teacups
say
would do it.
Yeah,
Probably
teacups.
teacups would affect me more than it used to be. It's just an age thing.
Yeah, exactly. I did do teacups a couple weeks ago, and I was a little nauseous right after. And that's like more so than Guardians or Mission
Yeah.
Space. I don't think I would do Mission Space Orange again, to be honest. I probably won't.
I'm not
I
likely
don't need to. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
It's fine.
No,
I
I'm
don't
not
need
like
that.
to myself.
Yeah.
You don't need that in your life. No.
Yeah. Okay, least convincing animatronic.
Least convincing. What does that mean?
Hondo Onaka. No.
Well, I
least
mean,
convincing.
It's least convincing of being an animatronic because he's not there a lot.
Right. Now, least convincing is probably some of the older ones.
Right. Take your pick inside of Carousel of Progress, I guess.
The Trump one at Hall of Presidents is doesn't really look like him at all.
Okay, so it's not convincing.
Right. Carousel of Progress, there's a few that just barely move. I mean, that's just because it's
Well, that's
so
what
old.
that's the first one I said.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, Pan. I mean, there's some pretty rough ones in there.
Oh, gosh. Actually, Peter Pan, at the end where he's just like,
yeah.
he's at the helm. He's just like,
there's a lot of rough ones in there. So that's got to take the cake right there.
that's true. Yeah, they need to update. Yeah, you're right. Those are probably the worst. Now that I think about it.
It took me a minute to get there. I was like, oh yeah, that's got to be it.
Yeah. Most unexpected scare. Which attraction has an unexpected moment that might startle or scare guests more than anticipated?
You know, back when they first changed it, because we didn't know this, the scene we're talking about at the end with Figment, where they blast,
the blast of air.
that made me jump the first time.
That's
for
true.
Sure. Probably made me do it a couple of times after that until I got, I was like, oh yeah, this is coming up.
Right. Yeah, it got to the point where my kids didn't want to ride it because of that. They were just like, I don't want the thing, like, because it was like,
Right.
Catches you off guard.
I got to thinking, I was like, man, this might have been a few people that's had a mild heart attack in here.
Yeah. If you're not expecting, because it is quite a blast of air.
Yeah.
In your face, in the dark. Yeah, it's not for the faint of heart.
I'm trying to think of another one that would have taken me by surprise, though, here in recent memory. I can't really think of one. Like if it's the first time you've ever ridden maybe Tower of Terror, like when the drop goes, you're kind of anticipating it, though.
Or like the ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
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 It's one hell of a drop. Oh.
Or maybe the launch peeling your face off if you're not paying attention. Or for something like Rock and Roller Coaster. I don't know.
Oh, oddest ride scent. That's an interesting question. Disney
Oddest?
often uses scents to enhance attraction experience.
They don't do that
Like-
very often anymore.
Well, I mean, the oddest scent, though, to me, is not one that they pump in with, like, on purpose. It's just the smell of Spaceship Earth. Like, when you're
Sure.
walking up the ramp, like, just that smell of, like, old hydraulic fluid or whatever it is, that weird smell that you get.
Huh.
It's not one that they pump in the building. Like Rome Burning, for example, or Pirates has a lot of smell in the scene, in the
I was
town
going to
scene.
say, where does smell? Does monorail count?
Yeah, the mildew smell from the monorail air conditioning. That does
or
count.
the BO smell?
That too.
I mean, I guess you could say Figment has another one of those as well.
Yeah, it does. Another one I noticed is Dinosaur, and I think it's hydraulic fluid. Again, I think the vehicles run on the thing is hydraulic fluid because it's got an odd smell in the loading area in particular. It's a very weird smell to me.
Well, I was about to say, I thought you meant like on the attraction. I thought, well, they probably did it on purpose because you're supposed to be like you're going back into the age of the dinosaurs.
But it just has a weird smell.
Kind of like they used to have a smell in Energy, right? Whenever you went to the dinosaur park, it had a particular smell, and I think that was on purpose.
Probably. Yeah. Couple more. Biggest missed opportunity. Which attraction had the potential to be great but missed the mark in one or several areas? There's a lot of those. I think Nemo could have been way better than it is. What's another one?
Had the potential to be great, but isn't.
I guess Figment also falls in that category. It could have been better.
No, most of the ones at Epcot were better, and they
Right.
made them worse.
Yeah. Well, they could have fixed them, but they haven't, so.
Like, if I were to go down the list, say take the land, for example.
Yeah.
Kitchen Cabaret was good. Food Rocks was not as good. Soarin'
Right.
is, again, going back to the upside, right?
Good, but it's not what it was. It's very different than
Right.
that, yeah.
World of Motion was great. Test Track was an acceptable replacement because it was fun.
Yeah.
Then
Tron
they
Track?
made it a worse version of Test Track, and then hopefully this next one will be better.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
It was like, it's like replacing everything over there. Would you rather have Mission Space or Horizon? I know which one I would rather have. So,
yeah, totally.
you know.
Yeah. Especially today. I'm like, hardly anybody goes to Mission Space anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't have a very long wait most of the time. It's one of those things that the concept of the attraction just didn't last long term, I think. It didn't have a long term appeal.
Yeah, Mission Space in general just didn't live up to. It was either too extreme, and then now there's like too tame or too extreme. So it's like,
it was actually among my favorites when it was first out there personally, but I was also younger then.
right. Yeah. Like, it was really fun when I was younger too, but not anymore.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't exist now, but it didn't live up to the hype, I guess, or what they thought it would be. Stitch would fall in that category.
Yeah.
If you're going to base it on current how quickly the hype died down, Tron didn't live up to its expectations.
That's a good point. Yeah. Most people, when they will say Guardians is better by a lot. So
Guardians was the best among the 20th anniversary supposed to be projects.
yeah, for sure.
I mean 50th anniversary, 20th
Yeah,
anniversary.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely the best of the new stuff. Pirates, you could say, had the biggest the potential because of the Disneyland version. This is taking it way back.
Oh, yeah, if you're going with Disney World, yeah, that's
right. Pirates definitely had a missed opportunity there because they had to shoehorn it in, and it was
the ending
very
is,
abbreviated compared to Disneyland's.
Yeah, the ending is
oh yes, talking
weird.
That's going back to the earlier question, underwhelming
Yeah.
finale. I think Pirates definitely has
Disney
an
World is underwhelming. Yeah,
because you can barely even see Captain Jack and he's so far away.
well, I will
from
say
you.
the original one with the treasure room, it had a lot of detail in it.
It was still
But
so
it was
far
still-
away too.
It was still a stranger ending though than.
Yeah.
Although you want to talk about ones that didn't work, even as great as Pirates in Disneyland is, the ending, what was supposed to be the idea of like it's all about to blow up right behind you, like in person, versus that hype video basically that they put out, when they originally did it,
Right.
didn't really it didn't come across. What I'm trying to say.
No, because once you're going up that really slow lift hill, you're like, okay, and it does have not a great ending, but it's still better than the Disney World ending. So
Oh yeah, I mean it's one of the quintessential dark ride.
so much so, the Disneyland one, obviously, when they built the Disney World one, they took that into consideration because they're like, we don't want people having to ride up the hill again.
Right.
So they were like, let's just make a escalator to get them back up to ground level.
Right.
Personally, I would rather ride a boat back up, to be honest. But anyway.
One thing I would say about that one is, like, it's like I've always said with Pirates, like I would If I could combine the California attraction with the Florida Q, that would be the perfect scenario.
Yeah, that'd be the best of the best.
Yeah.
All right, that's a good way to wrap it up. Where can we be found?
Well, of course, there's always Facebook, there's X, there's Instagram. That is all at TWTM Podcast. We have a Spreadshirt store in which I just recently got 2 new shirts for myself with our logo. You can get that at shop.spreadshirt.com/TWTM Podcast. We have a YouTube channel, which you can find links to all this and more. Where at?
On our website, travelingwiththemouse.com. We also have an email address, podcast@travelingwiththemouse.com. And we also have a travel agent friend who can help you with your next Disney vacation. All that is on our website, travelingwiththemouse.com. So for John, this is Adam. We hope you will join us on our next trip.
Yeah, man.
That kind of trip.
I don't know what's going on.